Little trigger warning for you guys. This video is going to be talking about my dad, who was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and the process of when and where and how to getting diagnosed. There is some visuals in here. I might bring up some topics, just a little warning beforehand. And I'm doing this for self-healing and self-therapy. And there's going to be more videos to come, and maybe it'll help you. So about 5 months ago today, it all started right here in the small town of Graniteville, South Carolina. March 21st is when I got the call saying my dad had driven his truck into his house. I didn't know what to do, what to say. All I knew is I had to get to the hospital where my dad was. I was dirty from head to toe. I got directly in the car and went straight to the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, I probably went double the amount of speed I was supposed to go, but I wanted to get here. And as soon as I got here, I parked, I went inside, and I was met with 2 security officers, which they said that I had to identify myself, sign in, and tell me my reason for being there, which I quickly explained, and they quickly did their job so that I could get in to see my dad. When I got in, I went to the receptionist, told him my dad's name, that he came in by ambulance, and they said that I couldn't see him, that there was probably going to be 2 or 3 more hours before I could see him, but that he was stable. Only thing I could do, instead of waiting at the hospital 2-3 hours so that I could see my dad, I wanted to go back to the house and assess the damage. Didn't know what to expect. The only thing in my head was the phone call that I received earlier. Is the truck literally inside of the house? What happened? Only thing I could do is go there and find out myself. So I pulled into the driveway, not knowing much to expect. I did see the tail end of my dad's truck on looked to be the porch at the time. As soon as I assessed it, I saw that it was not as bad as I imagined it. So I called a real good buddy of mine, and he came to get the truck off of the porch. And he came immediately to get the truck off the porch. It was a blessing in itself. He didn't charge anything to do it, and you could tell they had to get him out while the car was still running and the wheels were still turning, because he buried that truck in his front yard. So soon as he unveiled the porch, I saw that there was looked to be 1 board on the porch that had to be replaced. That was a blessing, and we'll get more on about that board that had to be replaced later on in this video. But for now, I'm going back to check on my dad. For those of you that don't know my dad, when my mom passed away in 1998, I was 14 years old. Oddly enough, before her passing, a week before, she taught me how to write a check and balance a checkbook. See, my dad, he didn't have but a 3rd grade education, so my mom did everything for him. He didn't even have a driver's license at the time. Basically went from being 14 years of age to being a complete adult with full responsibilities. Had to take care of him and myself. So with that said, we had our local church here in Graniteville. The pastor at the time would spend time with both my dad and I so that we could go and get our driver's licenses, because that's something that was a necessity. And we were both able to get our driver's licenses. I passed mine, and my dad passed his. Now you might be asking if he couldn't read or write, which if I failed to mention that, I'm sorry. If he wasn't able to read or write, how was he able to do a test on a computer screen at the DMV? Well, he took a verbal test. They put him inside of a room, showed him signs, did everything verbally. He didn't have any choices, A, B, C, or D. My dad was a smart man. He knew the answers. He got his license. I still helped him all the way through this ordeal. When coming back to the hospital, I had no clue what I was about to face. I already had my sticker on that they gave me from the time before. It's been about a little over an hour I've been away, and I went back in to see my dad. I asked the receptionist if I could see him yet, and she paged the people in the back, and then she said I could go back there. And what I was about to see is something very unexplainable, that many of you may have seen before in your life, but it was really, really breathtaking when I went in that room. My dad was on every life-saving measure of machine and support in that room. I went directly to God, which I was already doing all the way through all this commotion. I asked him to be with him, comfort him, and may his will be done. Really hard staring at a loved one. Can't say anything back to you. Can't do anything. I would continue to stay by his side for the next few hours, hoping for answers, hoping the doctor would come in, talk to me, a nurse, anybody. It came to the point where nothing I could do could help, and I came back home later that night.
Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
The next morning, I went directly back to the hospital to check on my dad. He was still in the same condition he was the night before, except he was in ICU now. They were waiting on a bunch of test results to come back. They still didn't know anything. They did 2 lumbar punctures to see that maybe he had meningitis. The doctor and many nurses approached me several times to ask me, has he been around any wild animals? I said, goats and donkeys. They said, not those kind of animals, not farm animals, exotic animals like lions, tigers, snakes. I just looked at them and just slowly nodded my head from left to right. Like, no, none of that. So everything pretty much continued to stay in his same state. Got some positive news. They said in the morning they were going to start slowly unsedating him and taking the tubes out to see if he can breathe on his own and see if he can comprehend anything. So it's now the 3rd day. They're still waiting on test results. They did try to unsedate him and take the tubes out this morning, but it was not. He wasn't ready for that. Still in the same condition, position, everything from day one. Still in ICU now, and just wait. Had a lot of things going through my mind. Is he gonna remember me? All kinds of stuff. You don't know. Someone's just laying there helpless, can't do anything for herself. You don't know. The only thing you can really do is just go to God and pray. And just really, really uncertain what the days ahead were going to entail. So I got back to the hospital and checked on him. Early that morning, they started unsedating him and was finally able to get the ventilator off of him. He started breathing on his own, which was awesome. Never forget it. He was really graspy sounding that day, very confused, a little lethargic. But my dad was doing better. He was doing a lot better, and I was excited. And again, I went to God, and I thanked him. I didn't think I was ever going to talk to my dad again. I didn't think he was going to wake up in that state. A lot of stuff, a lot of emotions going on in my head. Now we just got to find out what this is. Doctors still don't have a clue. At this point, the only thing they can tell me is he had a seizure while coming in, and that the CT scan without contrast showed that he had a brain damage from an apparent stroke. I went to see him again today, and still confused, still groggy. The nurses told me they had a time with him last night, that he was jumping on his bed and throwing his feces at them, and he had a really rough night. And he was having a pretty rough day. He was just in a state of confusion. He didn't know what was going on, where he was at. Could hardly talk due to the tubes that was down in his chest. But each day would get better. On day 6, he was doing a lot better, hour by hour, day by day. He was getting there. My dad was coming back. He was starting to see things more clearly, and he was doing a lot better. So, was able to have conversations with him. He was in sound mind, and he was able to walk with a little bit of assistance with the walker and the physical therapist. But all in all, things are looking up. My dad's doing a lot better today. He's able to walk with a walker down the halls. He's a lot better today, folks. And they're talking about releasing him, letting him come home in the next few days. So we'll see. Starting to feel like days are just seconds for you guys, but really it felt like forever for me. But we're going to get through this. Also, the number one thing my dad asked for today was his phone. He's able to call on his phone now. My dad called me 17 times last night to say, hey, what you doing? So he was still a little foggy, a little confused. He didn't know day and night. But he was getting a whole lot better each day. They did an ultrasound on his neck, and they were waiting on the results for that test to come in. He was up and down the halls with the walker, with a little assistance. He's getting better. Quick turnaround. Just thank Jesus every day. Over a week, he was in the hospital, and today was his day to come home. He got the results on his neck, came back in. They were great. Everything was cleared, and he was able to come home. His walking was a little sluggish, but he's been in a bed for 9 days. So he was able to come back home, and we adjust to a new normal. Wanted to thank my wife. She's been through a lot these last 9 days, and she stepped up immediately, asking questions I couldn't have thought of, asking everything from getting his medications together to know exactly how, when, and everything that he had to take them. See, now that my dad had a apparent stroke, he was now on blood thinners, and boy, that was going to be a interesting road ahead. When we got in the car to come home, he wanted the heat on. I had to crack my window and have my head almost out the window so I could make it home because he was freezing cold from being on the blood thinners. My wife immediately stepped up, started doing his medicines, getting them ready. I would take him to him every morning, every evening. He was doing a lot better. A lot better. Days gone by. Every day, he's just, I need to go to that doctor. I got to get my license back. Like, he was a complete new man in days to come. You would have never thought nothing was wrong. You remember that board on the porch? Well, he fixed it himself after recovering from stroke. Maybe 2 or 3 days later after coming home from the hospital. But not only did Ashley do his medications and got him ready, she set up his doctor's appointments. That relieved a lot of stress off of me. I would take my dad to and from places, get groceries, what have you. Held him out every which way possible so we could get all this underneath our belts. and move on. And hopefully he'd get his license again. I was 15 when I got my license. He was 43, and now they took him away from him at 70. So he would go and do what he wants as he wishes. He loved to go sit down at the store down the road here, get a cup of coffee, and he loved the onion sausages there. I never stopped that. I took him there so he could enjoy things like that as best as possible. Many people that knew him would come up to him and talk to him. Mr. DeLoach, Mr. DeLoach, a lot of respectful people. People I didn't know. But he was doing a lot better, and I was very thankful and grateful for that. Today is April 7th, and my dad went to go see his doctor for the first time. He went there, he did all his vitals, everything checked out. He was ready to go. My dad was so eager for this appointment because he thought maybe they would give him his license back. Unfortunately, that did not happen. He would have to see his neurologist first. And I believe in the state of South Carolina, I think it's 6 months or either a year. Don't quote me on that. You have to be seizure free. He was still a little down in the dumps over that, but all in all, he was doing really good. Now, 14 days after getting out of the hospital, I would call my dad every day, every hour, just to make sure to pick up his phone and that he was okay. He would get agitated with me doing that, but my dad always did it to me. He would always call, "What you doing? What you doing?" Always in the most busiest times of my life. Called my dad. He picked up, then he hung up. Called him again. He picked up. You heard ruffling around, didn't know exactly what it was. Then it would hang up. And then didn't know what was going on. I knew I had to get to my dad. And luckily, I was right down the road from him where we stayed. And I came directly back here. And I went in and I was asking him if he was all right. He was in sound mind. Seemed like he was all right. Nothing was wrong. He was on the floor untangling cords, trying to charge his phone. I asked him to hand me his phone. I looked at it and it was off. So when I turned the phone back on, I just made a simple call to my wife and I put it on speaker for him and let him, watch me use it to see if it was working properly. And when she answered, she heard me, I heard her, everything was fine. I hung up the phone with her. I got my dad to make the phone call. That's when it clicked. He couldn't mash any numbers on his phone, couldn't do anything. The movement on his left side had totally gone away in his arm, and he was starting to be very agitated. I went ahead and called the ambulance. The first responders here in Graniteville were the first to respond and get here on the scene. When they got here, they asked my dad if he was all right. He said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm all right. Nothing's wrong." "All right, can we check you out?" Well, the guy asked him to lift both of his arms up in the air as if he's reaching for his to pull up to get off his bed. And when he reached up, he only reached up with the right arm. He's like, "What about that arm?" And he went to pick it up like that. He had no movement. And it was that point they suspected another stroke. So he arrived at the hospital, and when he arrived at the hospital, things gradually gotten worse. He started twitching on his left side all the way down into his legs uncontrollably. It was horrible. There's really nothing they can do. They did give him medicines, got IV in him. Did all the same steps they did before, however, they didn't have to incubate him. He was actually talking through all of this. And it got rather sad. My dad, he would he took his right hand, he pushed on something underneath the cover, looking at me saying, "What is that?" And that was his left leg. He had no feeling whatsoever from his left side down, but he was still talking, conscious, aware of everything, but very agitated. And it slowly got worse, and to the fact he was cutting himself, bruising himself on the hospital bed from the uncontrollable shaking. They went to about 6 to 7 hours of him doing this. He finally calmed down, and he was tired. Something about those seizures, when they're like that, it takes everything out of you. And that's when they immediately started doing more tests on him. It's now day 2 of him being in the hospital for the second time, and it's really sad. He recognizes me sometimes. He's very confused, very foggy. Yet again, he has no movement still of his left arm or hand, his fingers, and all the way down into his leg again. And just still unpredictable what's going on. I didn't know what to expect, didn't know anything. All I know is God's in control, and God is with him, and God is with me through this all. Yes, the one thing about all this is, you can't lose faith. No matter what, in times of need and struggles, he's always with us, no matter what. He was there for me when my mom passed, and he's there for me now. It may be hard, but God has us no matter what. He is with us through good times and bad. And just knowing that helps me each day, and I hope it does you too. It's now the 3rd day. My dad's in the hospital for the 2nd time. The only thing I can say, we're just letting God. Nothing's changed. Everything's pretty much the same. It would continue to be like that for the next few days. It's now been 31 days since March 21st, when my dad ran up onto the porch. It's now 6 days he's been in the hospital now for the 2nd time. He's doing a lot better today. A little frustrated, and one of the frustrations I've had, and I've had through this all, but really today, is the doctors and the nurses, and that's them not being on the same page. Misinformation, miscommunication really just drowns you out. I don't know how many times I repeated myself to each shift-changing nurse, every shift-changing doctor that was there, repeating myself constantly, trying to be there, help the team and my dad. And I understand some people may have a bad day. We all have bad days. But I was kind of raised with the attitude of do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. Also that day I had a disagreement with the doctor. Strong disagreement with the doctor. The doctor came in, he told me that they did another MRI without contrast, and they saw the same spot from the brain damage from before, from him having the stroke. They said this time he did not have a stroke, that it was just seizures, that was it. I got a little agitated. I'm like, doctor, there's no way this is just a seizure. I mean, his whole left side of his body was numb and now slowly coming back. And he said there's no way, because the recovery time on strokes isn't that quick. I still argued with him, and we came to terms. He said that there's one more thing we can do, and do the MRI with contrast to rule out a tumor. The tumor can mimic strokes and seizures, and that's what he planned on doing. All this stuff has been so crazy to us all, being the unknown, not knowing. In the same token, we all want answers, but we sure hope it's not a tumor. It's now day 7 in the hospital. It's Easter, and my dad's doing a lot better. He's drinking, he's eating, he's ready to go home now. The doctor wanted to see him walk. He got him on the walker and walked in the halls, And literally my dad looked back at him. He said, look, is this what you want? Is this what you want? And he was dragging that doctor through the halls. Now let me go home, what he said. Still waiting on the test results and hope they'll come back soon. It's now day 8 that he's been in the hospital, second go round, and we now have answers. It's been 33 days since his incident, and he never had a stroke. They said it was all seizures that was caused by a brain tumor. The brain tumor was located on his right side frontal lobe. The doctor did come in. He was very, very nice at this point. Said that it looks to be hopeful, that it's small, it's in a good location, and if possible, it could be removed using a gamma ray or the gamma knife. With that said, he's back 100%, and he's ready to come home. The damage that they found from the CT scan and the MRI without contrast was actual damage from the tumor, not the stroke. He never had a stroke. It was just seizures brought on by the brain tumor. And they would call these half seizures. Half his body would seize and the other half would be fine. And that is why he could talk through all these. But good news, my dad's coming home today. So I think we're going to stop by the Burger King and get him his favorite burger, a Whopper. There's a poem that I loved all my life that I go to constantly. I like to share with you. And it's called Footprints in the Sand.
One night I dreamed a dream, as I was walking along the beach with my Lord. Across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene, I noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand. One belonging to me and one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times, there was only 1 set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only 1 set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you the most, you would leave me. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings. When you saw only 1 set of footprints, it was then that I carried you.